Is there an IRS ruling for the Deferred Sales Trust? The answer is yes. Hi, I'm Brett Swarts, founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and we're here to help make the Deferred Sales Trust simple for you and help you create and preserve more wealth when selling highly appreciated businesses, cryptocurrency. It could be saving a failed 1031 exchange. And we're going to cover one of the most frequently asked questions, and it's probably the most important question, right? If you're ever looking at a new tax deferral strategy to help you defer potentially hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in capital gains tax, you want to make sure that it's been tested by the IRS. And so let's talk about the ruling. So there was a ruling that was done, and it was a private letter ruling. And this private letter ruling was really focused on one particular case. Okay, now you got to keep this in mind that when you're looking at private letter rulings, that it's specific to that particular case, and it doesn't necessarily apply to anyone else. In other words, you can't just take it as the standard for everything moving forward. All the facts and circumstances could change, and so this private letter ruling, again, for form and substance of the deferred sales trust structure, was completely good. There was no findings there. There's also been multiple IRS audits on particular cases as well, which is another question that comes up. Well, have there been particular audits on individual client cases? And the answer is yes. Just about over a dozen over the years, and all of these were no change IRS audits, meaning there was no findings. Again, the IRS is not going to come out and just approve something, but essentially, if you get audited and they say there's no findings, it just is dismissed, or it's just goes away. And that's what these 12 have done. Now, there's also been 3 formal audits where there wasn't a particular case. They just wanted to really get under the hood of all things deferred sales trust, the tax attorneys who created it, and how everything worked. And they did, and the same thing. They found there's nothing to change here. It's 100% legal. It worked. Again, they're not going to put the rubber stamp on anything, but those were all changed. The next most important question is: has it ever been on the IRS watch list? Has it ever been on what's called the Dirty Dozen? The answer is no. It's never been on the IRS watch list. It's never been on what's called the Dirty Dozen of potential tax strategies or schemes that people are using that aren't legal, right? Or aren't working, and to the extent of looking at the letter of the law for the IRS tax code. So the Deferred Sales Trust has a perfect track record over 25 years, thousands of closes, billions under management, and but it is very important to understand that it is 100% legal. It works every time, and it hasn't failed yet. Now, that doesn't mean that the IRS couldn't change in the tax code. Like, for example, there are some that are proposing to take away or limit the 1031 exchange, which is IRC 1031. The Deferred Sales Trust is IRC 453, which is completely separate, a separate tax code. But could Congress and pass a law that changes the tax code that could take away the Deferred Sales Trust? Yes, but so far it's been around the tax law since 1920s, and it's here, and so we can take advantage of it while it's here. So the other thing to also recognize as well, working with Capital Gains Tax Solutions and my team and the DST tax attorneys who are my business partners, they provide lifetime audit defense. So should state or federal, should there be an audit, it's all a no charge to cover that audit should you be audited. So that's very important. I think that's I like to say it's kind of like the insurance policy. Doesn't necessarily mean the outcome is going to be perfect, but so far it has been for clients. But it does give some peace of mind. As well, I want to tell you a story about a gentleman that really helped me to take all of the logic and all the facts that I just told you and kind of bring it to life. And this gentleman's name is David Young, and he's a part of the DST advisory team. He can be a part of the financial advisory team to help manage some of the funds. And his background is in securities and a certified financial planner. And he's an economist, and he's a brilliant gentleman. And he worked with a gentleman named Bill Gross. And Bill Gross, if you don't know who that is, he's sort of like a Mark Cuban of the financial advising world, very respected, very well known. And they worked for a company called PIMCO. And PIMCO is one of the largest money managers in the world. And they took and built PIMCO with about 5 other guys, some of the leadership team, from about $80 billion to about $1.2 trillion. And so they did an amazing job. They all retired, got a big payday. And then David Young and 4 others that were kind of part of the Bill Gross team, they formed a group called Anfield Capital, and they provide good services mostly for financial advisors. They're like an additional team for them to manage should they want additional assistance on especially larger cases. And so they get approached with the Deferred Sales Trust. And if you can imagine guys in this stature, right? If I always think of like Mark Cuban, sitting on Shark Tank, he probably gets pitched, a deal every business day, right? Of someone wanting to sell him something, to partner with him on something. Well, that's sort of essentially what David Young has experienced over his 25 plus year career of people coming to him with different tax strategies, different ways to create wealth, different ways to do things. And the way he put it in the podcast that I interviewed him on, which I encourage you to go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com and search the YouTube channel and search us on iTunes to hear that podcast. He goes, Brett, most of the time, it doesn't, these things that come to us, they don't pass the smell test, right? It's something offshore. It's something that hasn't been tested. It hasn't been tried. It's very short-term track record. And we just say no to literally 95% of these folks bringing us, these different strategies. So about 3.5 years ago, he was approached with the Deferred Sales Trust, and he goes, Brett, I got to admit, I was skeptical. I wasn't sure, right? Again, we get approached with these things quite a bit, but I was open-minded. And they said, hey, it's a little bit different, right? And it's something you actually already know. It's an installment sale, and it goes back to the 1920s. And take a deeper look. So he took a deeper look, and he goes, my team took a deeper look, and I had our attorneys take a look at it, and I did due diligence, and we did due diligence, and we did it for not 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months, but for 2 years. For 2 years, he did a full due diligence on the structure, the strategy, the tax law, and he used all of the resources in his mind and all of his experience over the years, and he came to a conclusion after 2 years of due diligence, and the conclusion was, that the person who created, which is a DST tax attorney, that's the smartest person we've ever met, and number 2, we're all in that we think it's 100% legal, and we want to roll it out. We want to be a part of the Deferred Sales Trust moving forward. In other words, they put their name on it, and they became a part of the DST advisory team. And so I would always say to a lot of folks who are looking at this for the first time and are skeptical, which again, you should be very cautious with any new tax deferral strategies you've never heard of, is if it's good enough for David Young and his team, being kind of like him and Bill Gross and the whole team, Bill Gross kind of being like the Mark Cuban of the financial advising world, very respected at managing wealth for some of the largest in the world. And after 2 years of due diligence, he says yes to it, so much so that he puts his name on it, and he's a part of the inner circle for advising DST clients, which is available for everybody, no matter what the size of the DST deal. Our minimum is $1 million, net proceeds $1 million gain to make sense, but before he kind of had a minimum for very large clients, but he'll say, hey, for the Deferred Sales Trust clients, as a part of the deal that was worked out, he says, hey, we will provide the financial advising services should folks want to use that part of the strategy with them. So that being said, is it good enough for David Young and his team after 2 years? Is it good enough for you and your legal team? And that's really the most important question, right? And you want to make sure that you feel great about it, and that there's people who are very smart and sophisticated who have looked at this, and that it's faced the IRS, and that it's passed the audit test, right? It's audits that have gone through it. Hasn't been on the Dirty Dozen, hasn't been on the IRS watch list, and you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that. Schedule your free consultation with me or one of my team members. Download our free ebook. I also want to invite you to our mastermind. We have a Deferred Sales Trust cryptocurrency mastermind where we're talking all things Deferred Sales Trust. We're trying to make it very simple. It's totally free, no cost. It's every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're on a Zoom call and with a few of my business partners, a few of my clients, and folks just kind of looking in and asking good questions and being a part of our community here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions. So again, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to register for free for that. On the there's a banner close to the top of the page where you can click on that and get a registration, and then you'll get an email for confirmation. So go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Hey, I so appreciate you watching this video, and taking the time to do due diligence on all things deferred sales trust, tax deferral strategies. I'm here for you, and my team's here for you. Should you have further interest, again, feel free to go to our website, and we'll talk to you again real soon.